Do you recommend geo batching? Is it for everybody or? Welcome back to Adventures from the Homefront. I'm Olivia. This is Kate. We have our guest star today is Alethea, and then we have Jessica sitting over there on the end. So today we are doing a pretty interesting topic that the three of us had no idea really about. Alethea is our expert today, and we're going to be talking about geo bachelors or geo batching. So first off, I want to ask you a couple of questions. So talk to me a little bit about your relationship with the military.
I'm a military spouse. My husband was actually in 2 branches of the military. He did Army Reserves straight out of high school, and I was with him in a relationship with him the whole time through his reserve career. And then he transferred over into an active duty Navy. So he did a transfer.
So you got a little bit of both sides there.
Yes.
And then just for our viewers, what is the best piece of advice you have for people that have loved ones in the military?
I would just say try to be as normal as possible. You know, you actually have to get comfortable in your surroundings. Once you're comfortable in your surroundings, you get maybe a girlfriend or go to like a mommy and me play date so that you can surround yourself with friends that are sharing similar situations, because a lot of military spouses go that route, and I think that's best because you don't have family or loved ones that you're used to.
Make family where you're at.
Yes.
It's so interesting. I feel like most of the guest hosts that we have on, that's very similar to their answers.
Yeah.
I think so. If you're a new spouse, like really listen over here. She knows what she's talking about. It's so true. You have to find friends, and that's how you get through it.
Yeah.
For sure. Alrighty, so we're gonna get into our topic then.
Okay.
So talk to us a little bit about geo batching, what it is.
Geo bachelor is the status. I don't think they actually considered it as geo bachelor.
Yes.
It's inside the military. Excuse me, I'm getting.
It's more like our layman's terms, what we call it outside.
Actually with what we call it.
Yeah.
But geo bacheloring is.
It's okay. You're okay.
It's actually it's actually when your husband, your seller is detached from the family. So they have orders to go somewhere, whether or not your family is required or not able or choose not to go. You don't have to go. Each family has their own reasons for not
whatever
going. Yes, whatever the reason is. And I have a very large family. I have 6 children.
They're so beautiful, you guys. Beautiful.
I didn't bring it over here.
Well, we'll get it. And we're going to insert a picture of her kiddos because they are so dang cute.
It's the most beautiful family I've seen like ever.
But we have a large family. And we have all age ranges in my family. So I have a young adult who is already settled in her career. So instead of uprooting the whole family, I just chose to stay behind because when he transferred to Maine, I actually wanted to go because we never got to go anywhere. We've always been stationed around the Hampton Roads area, so we never had to move. And so when I got my opportunity to move, I'm like, I'm going. And so we only had to stay in Maine for 1 year. And that's why he tried to make me stay here. But I'm glad we went to Maine. So then when he had his next move, which is to Kings Bay, Florida, I said, I don't want to go. And I know what to do with my children, and I'm comfortable in my surroundings. I've been here since 2003, so this is my second home. I'm like, I can stay here now. You know, I got to go somewhere.
You got your,
yes, I got it out of my system.
You got it out of your system.
Yes.
And with 6 kids, it's hard too because you said, you know, you've got some older girls who've already started their careers. And I think from what I remember you telling us, one of yours is still in high school right now.
Yes.
So that's super hard to move your child when they're in the middle of their high school.
Yeah. The only difference is my youngest, my family is so spread out. My youngest actually goes to high school in our home estate, which is Delaware.
Okay.
So she's not in high school right here in the Hampton Roads area. She's actually out of state.
But at least you're within driving distance where you can see her.
Yes.
If you moved down to Kings Bay, that would be really hard on you.
Yes, it would. So all those different things.
And you got grandbaby.
Yes, and my grandbaby.
Yeah.
To help my second oldest with her daughter. So that was one of the, I would say that was the most important reason for me to stay behind, to help her with the baby, because she was going through schooling and also working, and she had the new baby. So had to stay behind and help the children. The children needed me more than my husband.
Yes. And there's so many reasons why somebody might choose to geo-batch. I have a friend who's, one of her close friends is a Navy spouse, and she got pregnant. Shortly after she got pregnant, her husband deployed, and then she had a whole bunch of like health complications. And so when he was going to be coming home, but she said, I need to move close to family because I need somebody who's going to be there to help at all times, in case I go into early labor, in case this happens, in case that happens, because just there was a lot of medical issues that were going on. So I mean, that's another reason. Maybe you've got some medical stuff going on.
I experienced that too.
You know what I mean?
It was actually just a pregnancy. I didn't have problems, but it was a pregnancy, and I had went home to have my child because my husband was on deployment.
Right.
So
so lots of reasons why people do it, but we're excited to have you here. Tell us all about your experience.
I'm excited to be here. I thank y'all for inviting me. My experience with Geo Bachelor so far, you have to excuse me because
It's okay.
it's
No
just
worries.
mush
We
in my
understand. We are all mush all the time over here. No worries.
But my experience with it, I guess because I've been with my seller so long, it's just like a second nature now. That we know that sometimes he can't be here, and he's been in the military since '92, but he's been in the Navy, I believe, since 2002.
Okay.
So he's been in for a long time, so it's kind of like the second norm for us. So we know that's his position, and that daddy has to go away sometimes, and he just has to go to work.
It just becomes your it just becomes your new normal.
Yes.
For sure. I could totally see that.
Yes.
And so he's in Kings Bay. So do they provide housing for him when he's geo-batching?
Yes.
Okay.
He actually lives in a single barracks.
Okay.
I do not believe that he pays an additional fee for being in the barracks, being as though his BAH is providing the housing where we currently stay.
Where you and your family stay?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And the BAH is our housing allowance. That's what pays our rent. And that's what the BAH is.
Yeah.
Right. So when you geo-batch, you guys as the family are staying here in Hampton Roads. So you get BAH for Hampton Roads, and then he is geo-batching, so he's just staying in the barracks.
Yes.
That's how that works.
But one thing to keep in mind if you decide to do geo-bachelling is that wherever your seller is stationed, that's the BAH you will receive, and you don't receive the same BAH if you stay in your
So
area.
I thought it was the opposite. So you guys are getting BAH for Kings Bay?
Yes.
Even though you and your family live here?
Yes.
Okay, gotcha.
But there are some things you can speak to someone about. They said requesting waivers. I haven't looked into that, but there are some things depending on whether or not if it was required and he couldn't take the family, like it was orders and he couldn't take the family.
Like if it was unaccompanied orders or something like that?
Yes, then they have different waivers for those different circumstances. So it's really like a case-by-case basis for each family.
Got you. Very cool.
So, do you want to talk a little bit about your experience? I know you had something recent. We're talking about like space age travel.
Yes.
and all that kind of crazy.
Okay, well, I had never experienced space age travel with my husband at all. Not at all with his career in the Navy. So it's been like maybe, I would say, 18 to 19 years that he's been in the Navy, and we have never used that benefit of space age travel. And he recently got off of his second deployment with his new command, and I only had 24 hours notice. And I did see a space age travel, and I went in and I had to be there at 3 a.m. in the morning. And there's no guarantee you're going to get on this flight, but you have to be there if you want to try to get on the flight. So I was there 2:30 a.m. in the morning trying to get on this flight, and when I get to the counter, they asked me for papers, and I'm like, what papers? All I have is my military ID that lets you know that I'm a military dependent. Like, oh no, you need papers. You need papers stating that your spouse is on deployment for you to travel without your spouse. So ladies, if you have a spouse, your seller, if they are on deployment, there is a stack of papers that they have. They may receive them electronically, but make sure your seller leaves them with you when they go on deployment. There's a lot of things, even though we've been in the military almost 18-19 years, this was a new experience for me, and it just recently happened like 3 days ago. So I was shocked. I was ready to cry at the airport desk because,
well, you get your hopes up. You're like, I want to see him. I'm so excited.
And he was expecting me to come, and you know, he was supposed to be asleep because even though they was back from deployment, they was still working. And so he's supposed to be resting, and I have him up 3 o'clock in the morning when he's supposed to be catching Z's. Do you have this paper? Can you send me this one? And he sent me like 3 different documents, and I showed the clerks at the airport station, and they're like, no, that's not the paper that you need. You need a paper that says he's on deployment so that you can travel without him. Or you had to have a dependent paper, a dependent verification form that shows the dependents. Even though the militaries have a page 2 that has their dependents listed, they're not looking for the page 2. It's a different form, and I actually had a copy of that. It might be in my purse as well, so I can, if it's in there, I'll give it to you, and y'all guys can flash it up. But this was news to me. I know that we had the benefit of using the space aid travel, but I didn't know how to use it. And then when I tried to use it, I was not successful in retrieving a flight. So it was disappointing.
Let us know in the comments down below if you guys want us to do a video about space age travel and how to use space age travel, because I think that would be a really fun video to make. Like you said, you could go an entire career and never use it, because I think it's intimidating for one, because it's a lot of hoops to jump through sometimes.
And is it more convenient a lot of the time?
Sometimes it's not
easier
convenient
just to be like,
but it is a really great benefit that people have. I mean, how often do you get to fly for free?
And I've had guests use it to go over to Europe, go overseas, and they've had great experiences, but that's like a family trip with their sailor or with their enlisted person.
So maybe you just inspired us to do a little space aid video.
Maybe we need to go fly somewhere.
Oh gosh.
Well, y'all take me with y'all.
Yeah, please. We'll give you a call.
Who is leave time to take off to go?
And to make it normal for my kids, my younger boys, my younger boys are 11, 7, and 4. So the younger ones, the older ones are doing their own thing, but the younger ones, they still want to see daddy. So we use FaceTime and Facebook Messenger, so it feels like daddy is there and daddy can actually see what's going on. I try to keep it as normal as possible. Like with my boys, we recently did the Home Depot day, you know, the first weekend of the month, you can do your building clinic. So I took them to that, and we made it was a airspace pencil case.
Oh, cool.
And so we made that.
Take it to school.
Yes, they can take it to school, or you know, I encourage them to make it for daddy, but it doesn't always go to daddy.
Yeah,
But you know, that kind of gives the kids motivation to participate in the project. And even my 4-year-old, I have him email daddy. So since he can't read or write, he can write his name, but he can't actually write a letter.
Right.
I say, okay, come on, Lex, would you like to send daddy an email? And he'll say yes. And I say, well, what do you want to say in the email? And so that's how I have my youngest email daddy.
Right.
So I just try to keep it as normal as possible and try to include them in the process and let them know how mommy communicates with daddy when daddy's not there.
Yeah. That's cool.
Awesome.
And how often do you guys get to, like, do you get to go back and forth to see your husband? Because I know he was just on deployment.
Yes.
So that was a while. But, like, would you say, like, every few months you guys take turns? Or do you drive there? What do you guys do?
Yes. Every few months we pretty much take turns. Like, I want to say I've been down there maybe 3 times.
Okay.
And we're actually considering just moving down there with him because the Geo Bachelor is kind of stressful. So we're thinking about moving down there to join my seller. I would say shortly after he got back from his first deployment, when I found out he had 3 days off after they had, you know, finished turning over the ship and everything, we went down and stayed 3 days with him on his 3 days of vacation.
Yeah.
We went and stayed with them. Then because they were on a deployment, they missed their Christmas party. So I didn't know about the Christmas party, but I had found out. And I will say this, for any spouse who's connected to the military, most units, squadrons, across the board, they all have a spousal support system. If your sailor, your airman, whoever, if they don't give that information to you, please try to seek it out for yourself, because they give you a wealth of resources and support while your spouse is not readily available to you. Yeah.
All right, so let's wrap it all up. What do you recommend geo batching? Is it for everybody, or would you say? Well, clearly it's hard. You all know about moving down there with him, but would you say for certain situations it's a good thing to do?
Yes, I think it's good to have it as an option.
Yeah.
Because everyone's circumstance is not the same. You know, considering that we had a grandchild and an older one who was already settled in her career, and I didn't really have to move.
Yeah.
And I was comfortable in my surroundings because we've been here so long. I think it's a good option to have. So it's almost like, you know, you don't have to go if you don't want to. It gives you options. It makes you feel like they're not really in control, even though they are with the orders.
Yeah, well, because you're not in the Navy, right? So sometimes it's nice to take a little bit of control back for you and your family and your situation. And you could always reassess whatever you guys are feeling later down the road. If you guys try and geo batch and then like, hey, it's not for us, we can't do this anymore, it worked then but it's not working now, because it's easy when they're on deployment, right? When they're gone, it's like you wouldn't see them anyways if you were there.
Yes, and it also depends on how long your spouse is stationed there. My husband may be there maybe 2 to 3 years. We're not sure. So he may even end his career at that duty station. So that's why we're actually considering moving to where he's at. And with us having the 4-year-old, and he's a daddy's baby, so you know, he's like, Daddy, did you find a house for me in Georgia?
Aww.
Which gives him a guilt trip, because he's like, why didn't you take me with you? And you know, he doesn't understand that Daddy's on orders and Daddy's doing his job. But you know, I know it also melts his heart, my seller's heart, because he can't really do anything about it because that's his job. Yeah, so it's good to have the option.
Yeah, good to have the option. Well, I am so excited for having you on. I feel like I learned so much.
Sorry, I promised I was listening. I just but I was definitely learning.
He's cute to have on the show. All right, you guys. Well, thank you so much for watching. Thanks for tuning in. Go ahead and leave comments down below if this was helpful to you guys, if you guys have ever geo-batched or thought about geo-batching or are going to be geo-batching. Leave us a comment down below. Let us know how that's going, and we will talk to you guys later. Bye.
Bye.